Here is everything you need to know about the 2020 BMW M2 CS. My name is Denver. I'm a client advisor here at Parkview BMW in Toronto, Canada, and I'm going to take you through what is, in my opinion, the greatest M car that BMW currently produces. So right away, it's going to be very easy to distinguish this car from the M2 competition. The first reason is Misano Blue. This Misano Blue option is only available for the M2 CS. The other ways that you're going to be able to tell the difference is all the carbon fiber that this car adds. BMW really added a ton of carbon fiber to this car to really reduce the weight and get it lighter than the M2 competition. We have a carbon fiber front splitter, a carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber roof, and a carbon fiber rear diffuser and rear spoiler, not to mention all the carbon fiber on the interior of this car is absolutely insane. BMW manufactures a CS model. It's meant to be a competition sport. These cars are not meant to be your daily driver. They're meant to go and drive to the track on the weekends and put in good lap times. Now, when BMW makes these cars, they actually take out a bunch of comfort items that you might be used to on a normal car. So this car doesn't even have the option for certain things like lumbar support, that's gone. Comfort door access, that's gone. No need for comfort door access. The driving assistant, who needs that? That's out of there. So no lane keep assist, no vibrating your steering wheel because of that, no pre-collision system, also no heated steering wheel. All these comfort items get taken off the board when it comes to a CS model. And then they add in a lot of lightweight components like all the carbon fiber so that this becomes the best weekend track car that it possibly can. Who doesn't like to go faster? Not only do we have lots of carbon fiber to save weight, we also have a more powerful S55 engine with 444 horsepower compared to the detuned version on the M2 competition. So we're getting less weight and more power, and that makes a better power to weight ratio for this car. The M2 CS also features a carbon roof for the first time on the M2 chassis. Now, this roof is a little bit different from other carbon fiber roofs BMW is producing because it has a larger carbon fiber patterns, as you'll see. Now, a unique thing from the factory, BMW actually messed this up a little bit and couldn't have perfect weaves. So I can honestly say every M2 CS is going to be unique in the roof department. So no one car is going to be the same. As you'll see, some of them are a little skinny, some of them are a little wide. They're not a perfectly even weave. The front, you'll notice a much more aggressive carbon fiber front splitter that clearly differentiates it from the M2 competition from a front end look. What also differentiates it is this carbon fiber hood. So this hood weighs half the weight of the normal M2 competition, and it's going to have an air vent right here finishing high gloss black. Now, at the front of the car, you're going to notice the adaptive headlights with automatic high beam function. BMW's adaptive headlights are also going to turn when you turn the corner to always provide maximum light possible. And then we have the high gloss black grille with the M2 logo badge in there. And you'll also notice, if you can get down below, that there's extra radiators on either side and from the tires to provide extra cooling. We have this carbon fiber front splitter, which adds extra downforce to the front of the car to give you more grip while you go around the corners. And then the mirror caps are also carbon fiber. And then coming all around to the back, the rear spoiler is carbon fiber, and then at the very bottom, also the rear diffuser is carbon fiber. Also on the exterior of the car, we have the M Performance wheels. So these are the 763M style Y-spoke wheels, and these are the matte gold. The other option is a flat black, which I'll show you here is what they look like. So these wheels you're able to get in the performance tires, which are going to be the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, or the optional Sport Cup 2 track tires, which are equipped on this one. You also notice the red brake calipers are standard for the CS compared to the silver ones on the M2 competition. And if you go for the optional M carbon ceramic brakes, of course you get the gold calipers with that option. Now on the interior, you only have one option. It's an Alcantara merino leather blend that they did for the CS. So you can't change the interior option. It's only one choice. And this Alcantara interior comes with red stitching and CS logo. So I'm going to take you guys through the interior so you can get an idea. As you can see on the door, we have the red stitching Alcantara with the carbon fiber door handles. Now for the mirror controls with BMW, as soon as you put the vehicle into reverse, the passenger mirror will automatically tilt down so that you can see the curb. Now if you don't like that feature, you want to turn it off, all you have to do is move this switch into the right position as if you're going to adjust the passenger mirror, and it'll automatically deactivate that feature. Now you'll notice coming into the car, we have an M2 CS logo on the door still, and then you have the nice merino Alcantara mixed seats with all of the seat button controls down here. You can also adjust the side support to make it tighter or looser while you're sitting in there. Now down by the pedals, you do have an M Sport dead pedal there, and then you also have your trunk release button right here. Now before I go through everything else on the front of the car, why don't we take a look at the back seats. Now first thing, in order to open up the back seat, you're going to use this handle here on the side. I do find it's a little bit of an awkward positioning as far as these seats go. And then there's this bit of a panel gap here I can shove my finger into, which doesn't really, it's not really fit nicely. I think they could have improved that for sure. On the back, you're going to have one button here, just basically moving the seat forwards or backwards. So if you press that front button, it'll move the seat forward without adjusting the seat position. So when you push it back and you press the back button, it'll go back into your seat position. All right, let's see how it is to get in the back here. It's not too bad. I'm pretty familiar with this since it is the exact same size as my 230. Now what I do find for me is I'm sitting perfectly and my head is touching the roof a little bit. So as long as somebody who is under 6 foot is going in here, I think probably under 5'10", their head won't even touch the roof. But for me, it is a problem. So I usually end up just slouching or kind of sitting forward, and it's not too bad, but definitely not enjoyable for the long trips. Now in the back here, I also notice I have some Alcantara on the side here for my armrest. And then you will notice CS logos imprinted into the back with the red stitching on the merino leather back here. Now it is only a 4-passenger, there is no center seatbelt here, and you do get a tray. I really don't even know what this is for. It's not a cup holder, it's not like spare change. I don't know what is supposed to go there, but you can figure it out. And then you have your transmission center console. And then at the back here, you also have another light switch that you can press for your dome lighting, everything like that. You can have a little bit of light back here if you need it. And then on the inside, now you have the upgraded M competition seats that you'd find in the M4, M3 competitions with the cutout in the back to provide more weight savings. All right, now on the interior of the CS compared to the normal M2, my favorite feature is the upgraded Alcantara steering wheel that you can now get. It's a $600 add-on, and it's absolutely worth it. These cars are meant to be driven to the track, so hopefully while you're inside this car, you're wearing gloves and your Alcantara steering wheel is not gonna wear out as fast. But something that they do remove from this car is the heated steering wheel. So even without the Alcantara, there's no more heated steering wheel option. They also remove fog lights, no fog light switch, and no driver's assistance. So you no longer have a lane keep assist or pre-collision systems. Up onto the steering wheel, you'll notice that there is an adjustable handle right here for you to adjust the steering wheel up, down, in, or out. And then right behind that, there's a little pocket here. You can see this is normally where the heated steering wheel would be, but it's removed on the CS model. And then you have your turn signal stock with 2 buttons on it. Your first one's going to be your automatic high beam button. The next one's a BC button, which is going to cycle through all the information on your gauge cluster. Okay, so this is what it will look like blank. First option is how much fuel you have left in the tank. Second option is your fuel mileage, your current fuel consumption, your average speed, your current speed, and if you leave this, it will go big like that. And then your next one is your date and your vehicle engine temperature. If you leave that, then you'll see the gauge. Then you're back to nothing. The M2 logo right here. And this design has a very nice look as a digital dash, but it's actually just tinted black so that when it lights up, you can see it. But if the sun is ever catching and showing a lot of light right in there, you'll see that it is still analog gauges. Then on the left side of the steering wheel, you're going to have your cruise control button. So you have your set, resume, and this button means turn on or turn off. And then this is going to up or down for your speed. And then you have your M1 and your M2 buttons, which are going to be for your suspension and your engine setup and everything like that. I have this very nice Alcantara steering wheel with the imprint at the top to let you know. And then an M logo at the bottom of the steering wheel. On the right side is going to be your infotainment system. So this is the talk to speech button where you can just tell the computer to do whatever you want. This is if you want to make a phone call. This one is going to be a scroll button, and as you scroll through it, it'll change your radio stations down in there. And then the next one is your volume, and then your mode if you want FM, AM, or satellite radio. In here, one up, you're going to go green. It's going to be on auto, and then this changes how fast it will wipe. And then whenever you adjust that, and then if you go up, your wipers are going to go on, and then full speed. I always leave one on auto. Coming over here, you do have the red push button start, and then the auto stop engine. So when you come to a red light, your engine will automatically shut off, but if you just click and engage this and you have a little light on, that means it will no longer turn the engine off automatically for you. Coming over, we have our infotainment system, which is touchscreen. If you need to do anything, you can use touchscreen. And then coming down, you have the Alcantara trim with the CS logo also in there. The very nice same design pattern as the steering wheel has over here for the Alcantara cutout. And then you have your hazard button, your central door lock, so this will lock and unlock your doors. And then this is a little dial that's on BMWs that allows you to change the heat for the center vents that will be different from the top or your floor temperature as well. And then coming down, you have your radio controls, your volume, and your 1 through 8s. Unique thing about BMW is you can program these buttons to do everything you want. So 1 could be navigate automatically home, number 2 could be navigate automatically to work, number 3 could be your radio presets, your favorite one, number 4 could be, say, your sport gauges. And then coming down, you have your heated seat button here with your defrost, and then your climate control buttons as well. So I always leave mine auto. 23 degrees is my preferred setting with the fan almost all the way. And then your auto here, and then you also have your AC button and your max AC button if you want. I'm gonna turn all those off because it's noisy. And then coming down, you have a small area, a resting pad. Not really much use for this. It's too thin for iPhones and not really deep enough for anything else. So I don't know what you would put there. Me, I just have a card or something little laying there. And then your 2 cup holders. Not too bad. If you have larger drinks, it does clip on this edge right here. Like my shaker bottles don't fit in there perfectly, but everything else is fine. And then your smoking if you need it. And then you have your manual shifter transmission here. Very easily cut out changings to the DCT with the Alcantara shift boot. And then over here you have your adjustments button. So this one's going to be traction control, and then this one's going to be your RPM gauge. So how aggressive your throttle response is to your engine. So the more you have it put up, then the more you step on the gas pedal, the more fuel it'll give it, the more aggressive it is. Then you have what is new to the M2 CS, the EDC button. On all M2 competitions, this will just be a blank tile. And this just basically allows you to adjust the electronic dampener controls in your suspension. And then the next one down is your steering wheel feedback. So this is going to change the feel of your steering wheel since it is electronically assisted. And then the last one is your proximity button. So if you turn this on, it will turn your proximity buttons on, and then it'll let you know if there's anything around your car. Going farther back, you have your iDrive controller with your short button keys. So media will just go right to your media menu.
Communications is going to go to your communications menu. Same thing with the main menu, maps, and the navigation. Now, and then this is also touch sensitive, so you can zoom in and zoom out depending on what you're doing. And in order to control, you're going to circle, push left, push right, and down for enter. Then you have your back and your options button. Moving farther back, all Alcantara, and you can see that the center console, your center armrest has been removed. And now the only USB-C port in the vehicle is right here. And then your Alcantara boots on your parking brake, and the whole transmission cover here is all carbon fiber. And then at your roof, you do have your alarm system, your garage door opener system here with a digital compass, and then more light controls right here with your SOS button and your passenger airbag light. The CS model does come standard with the Harman Kardon sound system, so you will notice that your Harman Kardon logo right here on both sides. And this is what your glove box is going to look like. And your door panels are going to have some extra cubbies in here. There's a large water bottle holder and just another cubby for extra things. All right, so let's take a look at the trunk on the CS. So when you're normally opening it, you can do it from the inside, or there is a small rubber button right here underneath the BMW logo. You just press and it's going to open up. Lots of trunk space in there. Nothing really too special about it back here, but you get an idea for what it looks like. Did notice that there's no cover up here. It's just body metal, but that's normal. And then you do have two release levers here for your back seats. So if you pulled one on either side, your back seats will drop down. And then other than that, you just have a normal storage compartment. Here's the rubber mats waiting for the customers to go in. And there is no spare tire on these cars. So you just have a battery back here. If you lift up the flap, that's all you're gonna see. There is, because these are performance tires and not run flats, BMW does give you a tire kit, like a tire patch kit, so you can patch the tire and back up with air to get you on the road and get you going to where you need to go. And then if you do try to kidnap anybody, just so you know, they do have an emergency release right here. Or if you're just working in there and get trapped, and at least you can get yourself out. Okay, so now basically the only thing I haven't showed you is the engine bay, so let's go take a look at that. With all new BMWs, they do have a new 2x pull system. So there's no longer a lever under the hood. You're just gonna pull this release hatch twice, and it's gonna open up for you. Let's go take a look. Here is the S55 engine. It's quite beautiful in my opinion. This is one of the favorite engine bays that BMW has ever made, with the carbon fiber strut bar that ties it all in. It's just beautiful to look at. And in my opinion, it looks better than the new M3 engine bay, but that's just my opinion. So on the left here, you have your washer fluid fill up, and then right here, you have your battery terminal here. And the battery is located in the trunk though. That's just your connection terminal if you need to jump start. So cooling vents for the lighting, and then a negative cable air box. We've got some turbos down underneath there, and then also another air box on the right side. Your air to water intercooler with your coolant overflow. Oil filter is going to be underneath that cap, and then another coolant overflow over here as well. And that's pretty much it for the engine bay, besides the carbon fiber roof. So you can really see the carbon fiber weave in there, and then for the vent that comes down here. Okay, now the only thing left to show you guys is what it sounds like. So we're gonna do a startup for you so you guys can know what this thing sounds like. Okay, now let's take this M2 CS into the shop and let's show you what it looks like underneath the car. Okay, so now I'm going to take you through what underneath of the car looks like, try to find all those little M details and everything like that, so you guys have an idea of what underneath an M2 CS looks like. So let's go take a look. I'm gonna start at the front. First thing that I noticed is the carbon fiber front splitter actually comes back several inches. It doesn't just stop right away. Then I also noticed there's a cool radiator right here that's actually pointing down towards the ground to help take all the air out. Next thing I noticed is there's an M2 logo badged right into the plastic, which is pretty unique. And then let's see, so underneath, you're gonna notice that everything is covered. So what air can't touch, what air can't see, air can't touch, basically. So everything that's gonna come underneath the car is gonna go all the way to the back and give the car the downforce that it needs. Now we have an aluminum tray here that's blocking everything off except for the oil pan nut. So, you know, mechanics can still get in there and service it. Now let's take a look at the front wheel. So every single control arm has an M badged on it, and then you have your big 6-piston red calipers, and then your gold matte wheels, which have embroidered or imprinted, I guess, into the rim, frozen gold matte, all the specs, everything like that. Right in front of the wheel, there's another radiator vent with some plastic shrouds, typical sway bar. And then I noticed, if you ever get a chance, you look all the way up underneath the tire, there's an M2 logo printed into the plastic up there. I did notice that between the exhaust headers to the rest of the exhaust, normally there'd be a gasket, but here there's just a plate that goes in and it looks like it holds both of them together and then also seals it as well. Coming down, have mats covering everything, your exhaust systems, and then back at the rear end, looks like there is a brace here that ties in the bodywork, keep it stiffer, another brace that comes along from the body into the control arm and then back to the body, covered by plastic. The rear suspension is a 5-piece multi-link design built out of forged aluminum. And every single one of these control arm pieces has this really cool M logo imprinted in, so you know that these components are M components only and not found on a normal 2 Series. The suspension setup is quite intense back here. M logos on the hubs and your red brake calipers. Now, BMW, when they were designing the rear end, what they did was normally in rear subframes you have rubber bushings that help keep a lot of the road noise. It lets the vehicle flex a little bit, but the CS model has solid mounted rear subframe to the body, so there's no bushings in there, so you're just getting a solid mount and you're gonna feel the vibrations a lot more on the road because there's nothing there to absorb anymore. Coming farther back, the exhaust twin pipes all the way down, we have our secondary cats and then our resonator here before it branches off in a Y, splits around the differential and comes back into the muffler. So this exhaust system is unique to the BMW M2 CS, and they also added in 2 electronic valves for, of course, when lower speeds and higher speeds of the exhaust sounding, so you get maximum flow. So you can see the electronic valves on either side here on the outside ones. So primarily the exhaust will be routed through the middle. It will go through most of the muffler baffling, everything that's on the inside, and then when the valves open up, it will just get straight piped right out the side. I did notice that the subframe where the differential mounts to the subframe, it's only used on one side with the bushing, and then there's a hole that's empty over here, which makes me believe that this subframe is going to be used on a couple different chassis and not only to the M2 CS. I also noticed at the back here, at the very top of the wheel well, you also have another M2 printed into plastic, an M logo on the spindle, the control arms, forged aluminum control arms, and your performance suspension now with the adaptive EDC, electronic damper control, these really grippy Michelin Cup 2 tires, and then we can get a look at the bottom of the carbon fiber rear diffuser with a little M Performance logo right there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for what underneath of the M2 CS looks like. There's not much to see. There's a lot of plastic, a lot of covering everywhere. Everything that you can see has a lot of M logos on it everywhere. It's mostly just the exhaust, and then at the back, the differential and the muffler and everything like that. But everything in the mid, like the transmission, engine, I can't see any of that from underneath here because it's all covered with protectives. Okay, that's everything that I have for a walk around of the vehicle. Now let's hop into some technical specs for all of you people that love to know the details. Take a look at this information.
Okay, so if you're my customer coming to the store, this is the product guide that I take you through to find out all the technical information for the M2 CS. So let's take a look. Okay, so there's a lot of information here, and as you can see, it's comparing for the M2 competition versus the M2 CS in both variants of the manual and with the DCT transmission option. So here we're going to have all of our exterior lengths and interior dimensions, and at the very bottom, your luggage storage. So if you want to read this and review it, I recommend just pausing it here so that you're able to read it and go through everything, and I'm just going to continue on. Okay, so on the next slide here, we're going to go over the vehicle weight and its performance. First thing that you can see here is that the M2 CS is 55 pounds lighter than the M2 competition. The next thing I can see is that the dual clutch transmission adds quite a bit of weight because of the added oil cooler and the larger size transmission. Interestingly though, the M2 CS with the dual clutch transmission weighs the exact same as an M2 competition with only the manual transmission. The next thing I want to touch on here is the 0 to 100 kilometers. Now it's been lowered to 4 seconds flat with the dual clutch transmission on the M2 CS. So once again, just go ahead and pause this frame here if you want to review all the information, and I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so on the next slide, we're going to go over details on the engine, the transmission, and the aerodynamics. Most important thing here is we got an increase of 39 horsepower for the engine, totaling off at 444. Interesting note is that the torque rating didn't change at all. It's still at 405 foot-pounds of torque. And then down below, you'll get the fuel, gasoline, everything of the specs of the engine and the transmission, and the aerodynamics. So once again, pause if you want to read everything, and I'm going to continue on to the next slide. This screen is just going to continue talking about the aerodynamics, some emissions, as well as the chassis, the wheel, steering, your fuel capacity, your battery, and a couple other things. Biggest things to note here is that our front tires are 245 35 19s with 9 times 19-inch wheels in the back, and then our rear tires are going to be 265 35 R19 with a 10-inch times 19 wheel in the rear. So take as long as you need to review and then move on to the next slide when you're ready. This is the last and final slide, and we're just going to go over a bunch of dimension conversions. So go ahead and take a look if it interests you. If not, we're going to move on. So the next thing I have to share with you is our product bulletin guide for the M2 CS. So if you're in my store at my desk interested in purchasing an M2 CS, this is what I go through to show you some of the highlights for the vehicle. First thing on this page that's important is we have a March to December production with only 2,200 units of these being produced globally. Our store Parkview BMW, we have received 3 allocations. 2 of our vehicles are sold with 1 more incoming that's being produced in the month of December. So this next slide is just going to go over the key highlights for the M2. And at the bottom here, we're going to see a chart comparing the CS versus the M2 competition. Biggest highlights here that I've noticed are going to be the introduction of Harman Kardon as a standard feature. The M drivers package is now on the M2 CS with speed limit information, and has also taken away some features that were previously available on the M2 competition, such as the comfort door access, heated steering wheel, load through system, lumbar support, the center armrest, carbon fiber trim, and the driver's assistant. This next slide is just going to go through all the key highlights for the engine and the exhaust. It's going to go through the increase of horsepower ratings as well as the 0 to 100 kilometer times. And the biggest thing that I noticed is that the S55 engine does have 2 twin scroll turbochargers, high precision fuel injection, Valvetronic variable valve timing, and double Vano switches cam timing for a lightning fast response of this engine. This next slide is going to talk about the suspension, the chassis, and the steering. The biggest takeaways I got is the new electronic dampening control suspension is going to be tuned through the settings. So comfort is going to be for your everyday traveling, and sport mode is going to be for your spirited driving and windy roads, and sport plus is going to be designated for track use with minimum roll. Also notice that the carbon fiber reinforced plastic front brace is actually only 3.3 pounds, which is incredibly light. And then for the brakes, we have really large brake discs in the front and the rear for amazing stopping power with optional M carbon ceramic brakes for a first time for the M2. The next slide is just going to go over the exterior design of the M2 CS. It talks about how the front and rear spoilers come together with a diffuser to optimize airflow underneath the car and further increase downforce. At the very bottom it goes over the wheel options that are available for the vehicle. And the next slide here is just going to go over some of the interior design of the M2 CS. It highlights the center transmission console is now made out of carbon fiber, producing weight savings of 50% over the standard car, and then also goes over the competition seats in Alcantara and the dash trim. The last slide is going to highlight our paint availability. So we have our standard Alpine White, the Black Sapphire Metallic, Hockenheim Silver, and the launch color Misano Blue Metallic. At the bottom here, we're also going to highlight some of the standalone features that are available with the Alcantara steering wheel, the gold rims instead of the black, optional M carbon ceramic brakes, or the dual clutch transmission. Okay, now we're going to move into the actual ordering guides here. So at the top, we can see our standard features that will go through for the M2 CS. Next channel is going to be your exterior colors, which we just went through, and your interior options. And at the very bottom is your actual options that you can add. Both of the tires are going to be no charge. The only ones that are going to cost money here is going to be the M double clutch transmission, which is a $3,900 add-on, and then the M carbon ceramic brake, which is $9,500, and then a smoker's package, which is $100, the storage compartment package, which is $350, or the M Alcantara steering wheel, which is $600. Please note that all these prices are in Canadian dollars. And the last slide here is just going to show you your wheel options with the standard black wheels and performance tires, or the gold rims performance tires, or gold or black with the Sport-Coutu track tires.
Thank you guys very much for watching. I really appreciate it. It helps my channel grow. If you would consider subscribing and also dropping a like. I want to bring you guys more BMW content in the future. If you want to see something, drop it down in the comments below and I'll make sure to make a video of it. Now, this M2 CS did just sell recently, but if you are in Toronto and you're interested in the M2 CS and you want to purchase one, we do have one more allocation coming in Hockenheim Silver. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.